day to be alive. In 1954, Robert Munger wrote this book, and it was called My Heart, But Christ's Home. This was a book that talked about the Christian life as a home. And it depicted Jesus going from room to room, cleaning some mess out. So Jesus went into the dining room and he saw a menu. The listed items was bitterness, unforgiveness, and he replaced it with love. Then Jesus walked up into the room, the living room, where there's companionship. And there was some worldly companion going on. They listened to R. Kelly. I don't see nothing wrong. And Jesus replaced it once again with love. And Jesus went to the home library, and in the library, which depicts the mind, there was a lot of filth and no goodness. And Jesus replaced it with his word. And then he started going into the closet. And, some of y'all, you know how a closet, we got some hidden skeletons in there. We got a cemetery in there. And Jesus cleaned out all the hidden sins. And he went from closet to closet, room to room, corner to corner, cleaning everything out. And then once he did that, Jesus sat down and resided in his home. I'm trying to help you somewhere. Each and every one of us can have Jesus to come into our heartly home and clean something out. But today we want to focus on that one thing, which is bitterness. America is so bitter today. We have so many people that's bitter and nobody's listening. And Christ wants us to clean out that bitterness. And I hope I'm helping somebody out there today. Ladies, if you see your ex-man with his new girlfriend, don't be talking about she ain't that cute. You didn't want him anyway. Clean out that bitterness. Come on now, beloved. Fellas out there, if you see your neighbor and he got a brand new grill and his grill is bigger than yours, don't be saying that's that fraudulent PPP loan. You know what? Get you some business so you can get out of his business. Clean that bitterness out. Come on now. Folks out there, if your cousin get a promotion this week and you ain't had a promotion in 3 years, I want to tell you something, boo-boo. Don't get mad and don't get upset with them because God is blessing their life. And in fact, you saying they may not be that smart, well, they got a pay raise, and the only thing raised in you was bitterness. I need somebody here right now that can testify that we need to clean out all of this bitterness. Bitterness is that anger, resentment from a hurt. And one thing about bitterness, it only hurts one person. It's not the person that you're resenting. It is you. And if you don't get a hold of this bitterness, it's like a cancer or a termite that will eat you alive. I want to encourage somebody today, don't miss an opportunity today because of yesterday bitterness. Bitterness is that lingering effect from a hurt that will close the doors to some of your future. And if we don't watch this bitterness, it would eat us alive. And that's why Robert Munger said that Christ dwells in his home so he don't have to walk around with all of this filth and bitterness, and Christ can replace it with love. I hope I'm helping somebody right now. You need to inject love and you need to reject bitterness. Come on, somebody in here understand what I'm saying right here. You see, bitterness, it spoils your life, but love, it sweetens your life. You see, bitterness imprisons you, but love releases you. You see, bitterness holds you down, but love brings you up. You see, bitterness, it blinds your eyes, but love, it opens your eyes. And if you want to live a life that's fulfilling, we have to understand that bitterness is that poison that only kills you. It's like Brother Hartfield, it's like an infection on your arm. It's like you had a large cut on your arm. And if you don't clean it out, and if you don't use some antibiotics, and it will get some dirt up in there and it'll catch an infection. And that's all bitterness is. It's from that past hurt that caught an infection, and it will set up gangrene, and you have a bigger problem in your life. I'm trying to help somebody. Bitterness is that hurt that has not received forgiveness, and then the infection set in, and now you have the gangrene of bitterness, and it'll go in your life, and it'll spoil your life and spoil everybody around you. I made my mind up in life that I don't want to live a bitterness life. Because that gangrene of bitterness, it will spoil you spiritually. It will spoil you spiritually. So today I want to talk about the victory over bitterness. Come on now, beloved. Victory over bitterness. There is victory over bitterness, and it's called forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, it will devastate you spiritually. And I want to help you right now, because Paul, let's lead us where Paul is talking today. Paul in chapter 4 was talking about some unity. But we talked about a few weeks ago, he said, now your mouth will mess up some unity. The old folks used to say, sticks and stone will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. It will hurt you. Then he said, your anger will cause some problems too, and it will mess up unity. He said, get anger, but don't add the sin to it. And this week he's saying, you know what? All that anger and slander and all that foolishness, the root of it is, it comes from bitterness. He's getting to the home. He's getting to the home. And this is what he says in Ephesians 4:31. He said, let all who? Bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor, right? And slander be put away from you, along with what? All malice. All malice. Have someone, Mr. Evans, done something to you that was so despicable, that was unthinkable, and you have not forgave them yet? Mr. Hartfield, have somebody said something to you that was so painful, that was so hurtful, that was just a knife in your heart, and you have not forgiven them? I got a better one for the whole church. Is there somebody's name that comes up and it makes your whole stomach turn? Your ex-husband's name came up. That son of a nice young lady. Why he got to be all that? Maybe y'all didn't say nice young lady. Come on now. If you're sitting there and a name come up and it make your stomach turn, you may be suffering from bitterness. And it's going to eat, and it's going to eat at you. And Paul is saying that's not the way to be. We can't have unity if we go that way. And it's going to affect you spiritually. So there is victory over bitterness. And it's called forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, it will devastate you spiritually. It'll have a whole effect. And somebody will say, well, Pastor Nestor, what's the remedy? What's the antibiotic for this gangrene of bitterness? Let me give it to you right here now. In Ephesians 3:17, it said, so that Christ may what? Dwell in your hearts through what? Some of you sitting here right now, bitter. And that bitterness won't come out until you, the inner you, submit to the Holy Spirit. That's why he said Christ came in every room, and until Christ was able to clean it out, then Christ can dwell at home. And until you be controlled and strengthened by the Holy Spirit, you will not live a life without bitterness. Now, somebody sitting here right now, Miss Cooper, is saying, well, I'm not bitter. Well, keep living. You're going to have plenty of opportunities. In fact, every day you have an opportunity to be bitter. But I've claimed, and I'm going to name it and claim it, that I'm not going to be bitter, I'm going to be better. Walking around holding all that baggage, and it will weigh you down in life. And that's when the Bible said the heart of a man, we talk about the heart. The heart is the emotional will of a person. And you got to have that emotional will of Christ in your life if you are going to forgive. Say, hey, Christ dwell in me. That's the only way not to walk around bitter. And when you're a bitter person, don't nobody want to be around you. They ain't told you yet, but and if you don't know you bitter, ask your spouse. They tired of hearing it. Nobody wants to ask your coworker, ask your friends, why you ain't calling me back? I just don't want to hear the bitterness. Christ had to dwell in you. There was this guy named Pastor Haynes. He was in the outskirts of Birmingham, Alabama. He was in his mid-30s. Church is growing and growing, thriving. There's new programs. They loving Pastor Haynes. Everything was sunny days. But then there was a rumor that started floating around church. They said that Pastor Haynes was doing some immoral things. You see, someone saw Pastor Haynes at Mrs. Jones' house. She was a school teacher, and then shortly after that, Mrs. Jones resigned from her job, and she moved from Alabama to Florida. Now, somebody put 2 and 2 together and came up with 5. And Pastor Jones, at this point, his wife was acting the fool on him. His kids was acting in disarray. People in the church were leaving, and people turned their back on him. And Pastor Haynes was innocent. And he didn't understand, why was this happening to me, and why this rumor keep floating through the church to everybody. You know folks are talking about you behind your back, right? 10 years later, Pastor Haynes was at home. Someone knocked on the door. It was Brother McLean. He said, "Brother, I ain't seen you in a while. Come on in and sit down and have some tea with me." He said, McLean said, "Brother, Pastor, I don't have much time. I just want to tell you this one thing. That rumor that was started, I started that rumor." Pastor, like, why you out of all people? He said, "I was at Miss Jones' house. Her father had just found out that he had stage 4 cancer. She moved to Florida to take care of him. Now, how can you take something like that and twist it?" He said, "Pastor, I was twisted with jealousy. The preacher before you, every time he made a major decision in church, he always confided in me. All the programs and everything in the church went through me. But when you got here, everything changed. We started having multiple people handling multiple things, and people didn't look at me the same way. I felt insignificant, and I got bitter, and I had so much rage." He said, "Pastor, I don't expect you to forgive me. I just come to, and I had to tell you." And tears was rolling down his eyes. But Pastor Hayes walked up to him. He didn't put them hands on him. He gave him a hug. And he said, "I forgive you, brother. I forgive you, brother, because Christ dwells in me." I want to help somebody right here. Some of you may be sitting there and saying, "I just cannot forgive this person. This person tried to destroy his livelihood. But because Christ dwelled in him, he was able to forgive him." I hope I'm helping somebody out here right now. Come on now. I hope I'm helping you out right now. That relative that's just been going around spreading rumors on you, because Christ dwells in you, you can forgive them. Come on, fellas, that woman that ran out on you, come on now, if Christ dwells in you, you can forgive her. Oh, ladies, I want to talk to y'all. If that hairdresser been going around telling everybody your business and lying with it too, you know what? If Christ dwells in you, you can forgive her. And what you expect at a hair salon anyway? That's what they be doing anyway, be lying. So sometimes you got to look at it. It is what it is. People are flawed. People are jealous-hearted. This man was not the big man on campus no more, and he did everything he can to destroy this pastor. There are people out there looking at your life and seeing how you bless, and it eats them up. And I've learned a long time ago, I don't let bitter people drag me down. I take it as a lesson on how not to be, and then I'm glad I'm not them. Come on, you know so many bitter people, you just look at them and say, "Oh my God, I would hate to be you. I don't even know how you live with yourself." I'm going to pray for you today. You need to thank God that you're not walking around with all that bitterness in your life. Bitterness will eat you up and destroy you. But when Christ dwells in you, you can't forgive anybody else. Come on now, beloved. That's good news right there. And look, at the end of Ephesians 17, this is what it says right here. It says that Christ that may dwell in you, or in your heart through faith, right? That you be rooted and grounded in what? Oh, come on now, beloved. I love that right there, because you see, when I think of root, I always think of a tree. You see, Keisha, I think of a tree, and in my backyard, there's a big old tree, but I can't see the roots. But the root is what feed the tree. The root is what give the tree life. The root is what feed it nourishment. So if you got negative fruit, you got negative root. And the root will contaminate the whole tree. And you had to watch yourself. Whatever's in your heartly home will spoil and contaminate your whole life. There was a story of these pigs in this African village. And in this village, everybody started getting nausea. They started throwing up. And eventually, people in the village started dying. So experts came from all around to see what was going on. And they found out that the water was contaminated. So they got their water from the mountain stream. And so the researchers decided to go upstream to see what was going on. And when they got to the source, the main source of the stream, everything looked fine. So they decided to get some divers to dive down at the source to see what was going on. When they got there, to their surprise, there were a mother pig and 5 of her little piglets that had fell in there and drowned and had died. You see, all of this wonderful spring water would pass through the dead pigs and go downstream. They removed the dead pigs, and the water was good once again. I'm trying to help somebody out right now. I'm trying to help somebody. Look. You have to get rid of the pigs in your life so it won't contaminate your stream. Come on now, beloved. You got to get rid of some pigs in your life. I'm trying to help somebody out here right now. Ladies, your ex-husband, don't be mad at him. He was just a pig. You see what I'm saying? And don't let that pig contaminate your screen. Come on now. Fellas out there, if there's some problems in your life, people been backbiting you, going against you and all that, just remember, they just pigs, and don't let them contain your life. I made my mind up. I'm not going to let you contaminate me. I got to get the pigs out of my life, get that out of my mind. That hurt, that's just pigs. And it'll contaminate you and have you sick and have you all discombobulated. The Word of God said that negativity, you have to get it out. And if you don't get it out, it's going to spoil your life. And who wants to spoil life? Who wants to live a bitter life? You should be living your best life right now. If you made it through COVID, you just need to give God some praise already. You just need to thank God where you are right now. Let no pigs contaminate you like that. Hear people say all the time, well, she did me wrong. Well, she Miss Piggy. She don't answer my phone calls until payday. Well, don't hate the player. Stop being the playee. Get yourself some self-love, and you'll stop letting people use you. Come on now. I hear people say all the time, they use me, and then he used me, and where's the source? What's the common denominator right here? Man, self-love, when Christ is in your home, you have confidence. You don't depend on people, you depend on Christ. If people in your life and they want what's right for you, it's a win-win situation, you with it. But if it's a win-lose situation, you tell them, hey, ta-ta. And I'm okay with it. Don't walk around bitter, walk around better. Christ is your source. There is victory over bitterness, and it's called forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, it will devastate you spiritually, and it will deprive you of your blessing. And I have a word for you now. How would it deprive you? Okay, you got to admit it. Here's Proverbs 28 and 13. It says, whoever conceals his transgression will not do what? You won't prosper. Right? It says, but he who confesses and forsakes them will what? Attain who? This is David in there when he was out there listening to R. Kelly and all that kind of stuff on the rooftop, checking his iPhone, looking at Bathsheba, and he did some things. And see, God punished him. But until he admitted that problem, his life got better. I'm trying to help somebody out there. Until you say, Father, I'm still bitter about the divorce, then God can help you. Until you say, Father, I'm still bitter about whoever helped you get into bankruptcy, then he can help you out. Until you say, Father, I'm still battling with unforgiveness, then he can help you out. But until you confess, you will not do what? Prosper. And look what David, he said, they said in Psalms what David did. Look what it said. He said, I acknowledge my sins unto who? Thee. And mine what? Iniquities. That I had not, that I had what? That I what? Not hid. I said, and I will confess my transgressions unto the Lord, and thou what? Forgave it the iniquities of whose sin? Until you admit you're bitter, you can't get better. And you got to admit that. And don't carry it around. Let it go. But you can't let it go until you admit it. That's the first sign right there. I don't know if y'all been in AA meetings or anything like that, but that's the first sign right there. They got a 12-step program back in the day. You got to do what? I got unforgiveness in my heart, God. I want you to free me of this right here. I need to let it go. I need to drop this thing off. And then somebody have to make their mind today. I'm going to drop it off. I'm going to leave it in church today. I'm going to leave it to you, Lord. I'm not going to walk around bitter. I'm going to walk around better. That was these two monks. They were saying that they was walking to a village and they saw a woman on the bank. And this woman could not get across the river. She said that the current was too high. So the both of the monks, they agreed to carry her across. They carried her across, set her down. A few miles later, these monks were walking. The second monk said, my back is hurt, Mr. Cooper. My clothes are dirty from carrying this woman across the river. I shouldn't have done that. And he said, hey, in fact, my ankle hurt. And then the first monk just looked at him and smiled and kept on walking. A few miles later, the second monk said, man, my back is still hurting. My clothes are so dirty. I shouldn't have carried that woman across the stream. And I'm in so much pain. I'm just going to lay down and moan right now. The first monk looked at him and said, do you know why you are complaining and moaning? He said, because you're still carrying that woman. I put that woman down 5 miles ago. I'm trying to help somebody out right now. I'm trying to help somebody out right now. You see, until you let it go, you cannot get better. You can't let it go. And I like the word better. Come on. The Reverend Tupac had a song, Better Days. It wasn't bitter days. It was better days. Come on now. In our vows, it says for better or for worse. It don't say for bitter and worse. That's too much pressure. Who want to be married to that? You know, when I see certain things, when the Saints play the Cowboys, the Saints say, we are better than y'all, right? And the Cowboys, we know everybody better than us. Anyway, they don't say, but nobody say, we are better than y'all, right? Who wants to win the bitter championship? Who wants to win the bitter bowl? And in fact, if all you bitter people keep being bitter, we're going to call the Bitter Business Bureau, not the better. Come on now. You don't even deserve that because this stuff got to stop. It's got to be better. It says better days. For better or worse. You'll do better next time. All these words about better, but none of them is talking about the bitter. If you don't watch yourself, you'll walk around bitter. So as you leave here today, just think about there's victory over bitterness. It's called forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, it'll devastate what? Y'all want to listen. It'll devastate what? It'll devastate you spiritually. And it'll also deprive you of your blessing. And last but not least, it will divide you from your fellowship with others. You see, they don't want to be around bitterness. And once they find that, people get ghost on you. Because life is tough enough on your own. And I got to be your therapist too. There's so many guys I've done business with. I don't even do business with them no more. They're so bitter and just so, just fix the plumbing, man. Just fix the electrical. Well, you got to have all that extra? You got to tell me all how life's so bad on you. You know, life tough on us all. And so just understand it will divide your fellowship with others. In Colossians 3:13, this is going to help somebody right now that can't forgive. It simply says, bearing with one another. And if one has a complaint against who? Another. Forgiving who other? Each other. As the Lord has did what? forgiving you, so you also must what? That was a story in Matthew 18. This servant owed the king millions of dollars. The king ordered him and his wife and family to pay up. They couldn't pay up. He ordered them to jail. The man fell on his knees and said, "King, please help me out." The king had pity on him, and he forgave the debt and released the man. This same man goes out. This man owed him $2. He was listening to Johnny Taylor. He said, "These last $2, I'm not going to lose. One for the jukebox and the down home blues." He got upset. He went and choked the man out. Threw the man in prison. Tortured the man. And the Bible said the word got back to the king. The king took that same man with the unforgiving spirit, took him and threw him in jail for having an unforgiving spirit. I'm trying to go somewhere with this right here. Christ has forgiven you, and you have to forgive. And the same way you have that unforgiving spirit to your fellow man or woman, you just remember how filthy your life is and them skeletons in your closet, and Christ forgave you. And you just think about, you ain't all that in a bag of chips. He has been too good to you. I just want to know if there's anybody in here right now that can testify that you are doing better than you deserve, that Christ has been watching over your life. Come on now. So yeah, she said something smart to you, but how many times you been smart? Yeah, he might have got over on you a little bit, but how many times you got over on God? Yeah, they messed you around, but how many times you messed around on God? Yeah, they didn't do you right, but how many times you didn't do God right? Sometimes God be blessing you, be like, "Hey, I'm self-made." No, you ain't self-made. It's only his grace and mercy that put wonderful people in your life. And so we have to have that spirit of humility. So until you start forgiving others and stop being all sanctified, then your life will get better. This is about bitterness that we have to get through. So there is victory after bitterness, and it's called forgiveness. And if you don't forgive, it would truly devastate you spiritually. And then also it will deprive you of your blessings, and it will also divide you from your fellowship. So let me leave you with this. Just like Robert Munger said, Christ be going in each home, in each closet, and he be cleaning it out. Clean out the menu of bitterness, and he put in love. He want to do the same thing for you. And just like the monks who's walking, one of them is still carrying around 5 miles and 5 years and 5 days of bitterness. But one was not hurting because he put that down way, way back there. And just like these pigs that's in the stream of your life, if you don't get them out, it will continue to contaminate your life. So when you leave here today, just walk out. Hey, I'm walking out better, not bitter. And bitterness and love cannot live in the same place. And each morning you got to make a decision who stays. And I want the saints here to give God a hand clap of praise if you choose that love gonna stay each and every day. Come on now, beloved. That should be your spiritual cry, that love is gonna be there. Don't let that clinging experience that you have from bitterness close doors to your future. Christ wants you to walk around, because people will do you wrong. People are people, but he forgave you too. So walk out today having victory over bitterness. If you receive the message, let's give God a hand clap of praise. We hope you enjoyed the message today. It is now time for Tithes and Offering. There are 3 ways to give. You can use our CashApp at the bottom of the screen. You can also text, and it's at the bottom of the screen. Or if you would like, we have a Dropbox here at the church where you can drop off your giving. Now, if something was said today that moved you and you want to give your life to Christ, we would like for you to call us at 601-408-7156. We want to talk to you about your decision today.